Hey Ninja fans, it's Kaylee Water Ninja here with another My Little Pony video. Today I'm going to be explaining Zecora's backstory as depicted in the IDW Comics Season 10. This series is basically giving the audience a written form of what Season 10 could have been, and is bringing in multiple side characters to go on missions with Twilight's friends. In this depiction, Zecora is with Tempest and Rockhoof with Applejack as the leader. They are visiting her hometown called Farisai, in which her backstory will be revealed. I decided to branch out with this choice as Zecora is one of the most mysterious and insightful characters of the series, and as the only zebra, as well as non-pony to yield a cutie mark, her story has been long overdue. Well, that's enough setup. It's time to spread some knowledge. This tale starts in a far-off land named Farisai, where a young zebra is enjoying her book on spells and peace. That is, until she is interrupted by a ball impacting her skull. She startled at first, but then notices the group who was playing with it. It is an odd bunch, but they are happy for little Zecora to join in. After that day, they were inseparable, and played many make-believe games as if they were on adventures. Having never had friends before, Zecora was elated and finally felt accepted. However, one day this all changed, as Zecora was learning about magic in her class. The teacher explained how each of her friends had magical properties, except zebras, leaving Zecora feeling worthless. Her friends Medleybrook and Crystal were both kelpies, which could control water with their minds, and even change their form to water, ice, or steam. Her other two friends, Cactus Rose and Dust Devil, were Abida, which let the first communicate with plants, and the other have super speed. Zecora and Marini, on the other hoof, were just plain zebras. The teacher furthered this by explaining how even their cutie marks were just, quote, mundane symbols of their life, not a magical destiny. This information caused Zecora to question if she could learn magic with time and effort, but the teacher told her only unicorns could learn magic, and they were thought to be myth as they lived in the monster-covered land of Equestria. Even with her dreams crushed, Zecora knew she would be the first to learn magic despite what others believed. After this, she became consumed with learning how to wield magic, and instead of bonding with her friends, isolated herself with studies on it. She researched everything from unicorn horns to scrolls and even enchanted rhymes. This led her to speak in only rhyme, as if to practice and to be connected with magic and spells of that kind. She said, "Spells work best in rhyme, so I will speak like this all the time." She learned of many powerful figures, but was in awe at one in particular, Mage Meadowbrick, who was just an earth pony, used potions to heal those during a plague. She became Zecora's inspiration, and this just gave her more hope. After showing this to her friends and sharing her thoughts, Cactus Rose called it cute, which set her off. Marini tried to explain they wanted to save her from disappointment, but Zecora's mind was already made up. She believed they had no faith in her ability to be the first, and stormed off with one last remark toward her friend. "You may be fine with being boring your whole life, Marini, but I'm not." As time went on, they teased and laughed at her desperate attempts to better herself, and eventually she left to Equestria. She hoped to learn more of the mythical unicorns there, and to utilize the ingredients found in the Everfree Forest. There she continued to strengthen her skill alone, and away from anyone she would injure or offend. The story ends with Zecora telling it in rhyme to Applejack, and them eventually returning to the group who she had come to face. Once back, Marini attempted to be cordial and decided to give them a tour. As she was now the mayor, she took it upon herself to do so. Zecora was less willing to make amends, and eventually a heated argument broke out. Marini accuses her of deserting them at sea, and as Zecora begins to defend herself, she makes a cruel remark regarding her rhymes. Then Marini and Medleybrook tried to play innocent by saying they just wanted to be her friend, and added how she even talked backwards for a while to support their actions. But as Marini gives her side of the story, it is found that Zecora had hurt her feelings as well. She felt Zecora had chosen magic over her friends, and was blocking them all out. They had both lost a friend that day. At this, Zecora retorted how Crystal would play nasty jokes on her, which the others had not known about. Crystal would freeze puddles before she stepped on them to cause her to slip, which was just one example of why Zecora felt mistreated. Even after her own part in the story was given, Zecora was reluctant to reconcile the friendships, and the story began to take a surprising turn. As it went on, King Abraxas was revealed as the Zebra King, and a terrible beast called the Grootslang was shown terrorizing the land. Throughout the comic, the group travels to a desert temple to defeat the enemy, and slowly the friendships are restored. Zecora makes up with Marini first, and over time the group faces challenges as they did when they were younger. Eventually they reach the temple, and inside is something quite surprising. They come across a tree of harmony. Applejack is thoroughly surprised by this, and so is the audience, I'm sure. Zecora then heard a beckoning whisper from the tree that the others could not make out, and is led to touch its trunk. Once she does, she is brought into a dreamlike state and is met with the tree representative, King Abraxas. He explains that he is the tree of harmony in their land, and begins recapping her story. He reminds her of her friends and the problems they faced, of Equestria and the misconceptions that loomed over her, and how she overcame them by helping the ponies numerous times, along with restoring her friendships. She is then met with a resemblance of herself that explains how unicorns use magic through their horns, and she uses magic through her potions, but the magic of friendship is open to everyone. She continues by saying, friendship is found in every land, and the elements are not tied to only 6 ponies in one land. As the vision fades, she is told that any creature can use the elements, but they must look to their friends first. Once awake, she and Applejack put it together that they found another set of elements of harmony. Each one of her friends is then set on a spot with their cutie marks of sorts, and it is explained which element they represent. Cactus Rose is generosity, as she offered her drinking water to Crystal. Marini is honesty, because she is always upfront and honest with the situation. Dust Devil is kindness, as fighting the rock wasn't even an option to them. Medley Brook is laughter for her constant joy and wide grin. And Crystal is loyalty, as she gave up the ice she needed so Dust Devil wouldn't get hurt. This only left one more element, and it was Zecora's. Overwhelmed with realization, excitement, and wonder, she tentatively approached her spot. As she made contact with her mark, the glow from the stone reflected brightly into her starstruck eyes. She smiled brightly, as her element was magic. The one aspect she'd always wanted in her life was the one she represented today. She really was the first zebra to do magic. At that, the 6 friends were lifted into the air along with the elements, and the 2 were fused into an ornate necklace around their necks. Now full of power, the group approached the Grootslang and gave it one last chance before defeating it and returning to the ground once more. The tale concludes with Zecora writing Twilight about her adventure and discoveries with her friends in Farisai. She decided to stay behind to make up lost time with her friends and study the elements along with the temple. At the very end, it shows her coming across a room with 5 light bulbs and the outer ones being lit up. Then, it cuts to a scene where a voice is heard observing the second light coming on and is shocked to see a change after thousands of years. The unknown speaker leaves to alert the commander, who is also unknown. On the desk can be seen a sketch of the desert temple and the corner of a mountain one. This is all left very vague, but it is theorized that the lights represent the unactivated Tree of Harmonies across the lands, and that the 2 lit ones are the equestrian one and the one in the desert temple. It is also thought that the depiction of the mountain temple means that there is another unactivated tree there that is being monitored for changes. Overall, this opens up so many possibilities for other groups of individuals that represent the 6 elements, and it means that even though the equestrian ones were destroyed, more can be found and utilized. Even though the main 6 seem to be the only bearers and symbols of magical friendship, this proves that other individuals can do the same for their land as well. Zecora truly did reflect the element of magic, and this was definitely a satisfying ending to her tale. She finally reunites with her friends and accomplished her dream to control magic. After giving her past and future, I wanted to give a few more interesting facts about her life and notes I made. I thought it was quite evident how Zecora resembled Twilight and how she interacted with magic versus friends. She was more focused on her studies than the relationships that would cause her to fully unlock it. Additionally, someone pointed out that Mage Meadowbrook being the role model for Zecora is similar to that of Starswirl the Bearded being one for Twilight. Another fact is about the Kelpies, which she was friends with. It was found that their weakness is electricity and being apart from water for too long. This information was revealed by Tempest during her conversation with Medley Brook. Apart from the comic, Hasbro had thought about doing Zecora's backstory in the show, but Jim Miller said they weren't keen on exploring it. But even though this wasn't featured in the show, 2 other snippets from the comics were interesting to learn. In My Little Pony Friends Forever, issue number 5, Zecora helps Fluttershy when she suddenly hears animals talking. Does this mean the 2 had met before she was featured in the show? It's unlikely, as Fluttershy didn't seem to recognize her, but maybe she was too young to remember, or Zecora made sure she wouldn't. Additionally, in the IDW comic What About Discord, Zecora admits that the cauldron in her house is primarily for aesthetic purposes. I thought this comical quote added to her mysterious nature and reminds you that there is still much to discover. Overall, Zecora is an intriguing character to research and definitely surprised me in becoming the element of magic. I hope you enjoyed learning about Zecora's backstory and will be inspired to do some more research on your own. More info regarding the cliffhanger should be published eventually, so I could do a follow-up video on that if you would like. Well, that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. Ninja, go!